Mr. Potter and Tabby Make a Wish. Chapter 1. Good Heavens! It was a beautiful morning. Mr. Potter and his fine cat Tabby were eating raisin crumpets and apple jam and reading the morning paper. Mr. Potter looked at the date of the paper, October 2nd. Good heavens, Tabby, said Mr. Potter. It's my birthday. Tabby looked at Mr. Potter and purred. She was a little messy from apple jam, but she was glad it was Mr. Potter's birthday, if birthdays meant apple jam. Mr. Potter put the paper down and began to think. He thought of all his many birthdays, especially those when he was a boy. He had loved birthdays then. He always got a really good present, like a scooter or a model plane kit. He got a cake with candles. He got balloons. He got company. Birthdays were perfect days. But now Mr. Potter was old, too old for scooters and model plane kits, too old for balloons, too old for a cake with candles. He would need a fire hose to put them out. Mr. Potter was just too old for a birthday. He would not think about it. He would not think about cake or candles, or balloons, or model plane kits. He would enjoy his breakfast with Tabby instead. More jam, Tabby? Asked Mr. Potter. Tabby purred. Jam was nice. Jam was fine. Mr. Potter would just have more jam. Chapter 2. Can you wait? Mr. Potter couldn't help it. He wanted more than jam for his birthday. I am too old for birthdays, Tabby, said Mr. Potter, but I want one anyway. Mr. Potter decided he could at least have some company. He would invite his neighbor Mrs. Teaberry and her good dog Zig to tea. Mr. Potter called Mrs. Teaberry. He told her it was his birthday. He invited her to tea. Wonderful, said Mrs. Teaberry. But first I have to do the dishes. Can you wait? Mr. Potter said he could wait. He finished reading the paper. Mrs. Teaberry phoned. I have to curl my hair, she said. Can you wait? Mr. Potter said he could wait. He took a little snooze. Mrs. Teaberry phoned. I have to unclog the tub, she said. Can you wait? Mr. Potter said he could wait. He read the book. Mrs. Teaberry phoned. I have to find Zig's ball, she said. Can you wait? Mr. Potter said he could wait. He clipped his nails. Mrs. Teaberry phoned. I'll be there soon, she said. Can you wait? Mr. Potter wanted to say no. Mr. Potter wanted to say, It's my birthday and I can't wait. But Mr. Potter was nice. He said he could wait, even though he didn't want to. Mr. Potter was getting older by the minute. Soon it would be tomorrow, and tomorrow was somebody else's birthday. Mr. Potter looked at Tabby, who was curled up in a ball. So far, this is a very strange birthday, Mr. Potter said to Tabby. Chapter 3. Finally. Mr. Potter thought Mrs. Teaberry and Zig would never come to tea. He thought he would have to wait forever. He thought he would be waiting until his next birthday. But finally, the doorbell rang. Mr. Potter opened the door. Surprise! It was Mrs. Teaberry and Zig. And Mrs. Teaberry was carrying an enormous cake loaded with dozens of candles. Zig had a present around his neck and balloons on his tail. I had to make you wait, said Mrs. Teaberry, so I could bake a cake. Mr. Potter looked at all the candles. I'll need a fire hose to put those out, he said. When tea was served and he had opened his present, a model plane kit, Mr. Potter blew out all his candles. It took 5 big breaths, plus some help from Mrs. Teaberry's hat, but he got them out. Did you make a wish? Asked Mrs. Teaberry. Mr. Potter looked at Tabby and at Mrs. Teaberry and at Zig, and he couldn't think of anything to wish for. He had everything, even a model plane kit. Mr. Potter and Tabby and Mrs. Teaberry and Zig ate cake for days and days. And Mr. Potter built his model plane almost perfectly. He just got a little mixed up on the tail. It had been such a wonderful birthday. Of all the birthdays in Mr. Potter's long life, this one really had been worth the wait.